Hello everyone. In our last lectures, we have completed Principle of Management. Today we shall proceed with our new chapter, that is chapter 3, Business Environment. I have already sent a PDF of some case studies for you. You need to solve those, make a note in your copy and then submit it to us. So let us begin this chapter, Business Environment. Now we know that this word business environment comprises of two words, business and environment. We have defined business as an activity where exchange is done or exchange takes place for some mutual benefit, and it is concerned with creation of utility as well. Now, environment refers to those factors or forces with which a business interact during the course of performing its business activity or in the pursuit of its business activities. Take an example. A business has an objective of achieving a larger market share. In the market, with this hope, when he launches his product, he needs to take care that in the market there are other producers, other businessmen who may be providing a similar product or a related product at a cheaper price. Secondly, suppliers who are responsible for supplying the raw materials or the necessary goods to the business, with which the business carry out its production or processing activities and then launches it in the market. Now, if the supplier do not provide the raw materials or other necessary resources on time, then the opportunity that exists for a business to take advantage of, the business may not be able to take advantage of by supplying the goods on time, because the supplier has not supplied the raw materials and other resources on time. So what we find, that a business, if it does not care about the environment with which it operates its activities, or with which and in which it interacts, they play a major role in the success of the business. And therefore, a business has to take into account the environment. Now let us take into an example. We have heard about the word licensing. In the pre-independence era, there were the industries that were regulated by the government through the process of licensing. Now what does it mean? It means that when some industries were to be established, government made it mandatory that such businessmen need to take a license from the government. Otherwise they cannot establish an industries. So that was a licensing regime. Now, change in the policies when the government adopted the policy of free trade, or rather a laissez-faire, an economy where anybody from even the producers or the businessmen or the business houses from other countries could come up. Means the economy was opened up, there was liberalization or relaxation in the terms of the business. Many business came into play in the field of this market. So what happened? Competition increased, goods supply, they were poured from all directions from different producers. There was the level of competition increased, the quality of goods also developed, it was improved. So many changes took place in the market, and for some of them it provided an opportunity to increase their market share, to increase their revenue, and for some it provided a nightmare because they could not sustain the competition or change in the market due to change in their business environment. So what happened? Those business did not sustain. They could not continue their operation for long, and as a result the business had to be shut down. Therefore, what is imperative for a business is that each business needs to take care of the changes in the environment. They are external, they are not internal, they are external, and there may not be a possible remedy for it. So a business had to be prepared before the actual threat is posed due to change in its business environment. And hence, the study of business environment is of prime importance. Now let us summarize this. Business environment, it basically refers to the forces or the factor either in which and with which a business interact. Now when does a business interact? Business interact when the business is operating its business activity or in the pursuit of its activities. I have given you the example like competitors. Now when a business is supplying a goods in the market, he would equally take care of whether his goods would be welcomed in the market, customer would prefer it, what are the similar goods that are available in the market and at what price. So he can place, that is known as niche marketing, NICHE, niche marketing, finding a suitable place for your goods in the market. Otherwise there are a lot of competitors, they would just outwit you, and you need to be forced to move back from the market. And therefore competitor has to be taken care of, their commodity, their goods, their strategy as well. Then suppliers, I have said, if they do not provide the goods in time, and enough opportunity exists in future in the market for capitalizing it, means increasing your profit by providing the goods. And if you do not get the raw material or the supply of goods from suppliers, you won't be able to take advantage of the future situations. So therefore they are also included in the business environment. They affect the working of the business. Government policy, I've already said, like licensing and relaxation in the licensing regime. Now the number of industries that could be established with the government permission has been relaxed, or the government has relaxed the norm in granting the license. So therefore more and more business are being established. But at the same time, it has also made it very hard for the business, because with the increasing competition, the business which existed earlier, now with the change in business policies or in technological upgradation and innovation, due to this they are forced to leave the market because they cannot upgrade themselves. They do not have the necessary resources to upgrade themselves, and hence they leave the market. So business environment is, the study of environment is necessary. They are external to the business and we need to control it so that it do not affect the working and it result in future success of the business. Let us now discuss the important characteristics or features of business environment. I have enlisted 6 characteristics or features of business environment that we shall be discussing now simultaneously. But before that, I think it imperative to caution you that a business who do not take into account the changes is surely letting a nail being hammered in its coffin. I hope you remember the extinction of the dinosaurs, the dodo, and many other animals from this planet. Their surroundings changed, but their body could not withstand the changes in the surrounding, and hence they are extinct now. So it is very essential that a business must know, must study and research about its environment. Otherwise, in the long run, it is sure to perish. It cannot stand the tide of the time. Now let us discuss the features. The first feature is, when we say business environment, we need not necessarily refers to one particular factor which affect a business or its working. Rather, we refers to a totality of all the factors that affect the workings of the business, and hence it is totality of all the external factors. Now here we refers to a business environment which is composed of different components. It is not only investor, it is not only the level of competition or the supplier, it is even the change in government policies, it is even the change in technological upgradations, it is even the political situation of the country, it is also the economic policies of the country, it is also the customer in a market or a market situations. So when we say business environment, we refers to a totality of the factors with which the business interact. When I say that the business environment, the business is operating not or in a very competitive environment, it means the business is facing a lot of competition from the competitors. There are too many competitors. When I say the business is suffering on account of its supplier, then what I mean is that the business is unable to take advantage of the opportunities due to its suppliers. Similarly, when I say that the instability in the country has resulted in the business to shut down its operation of one unit, now it means that the political situation or upheaval in a country has led to the shutdown of the action or the production or the unit of the industries which has been affected by the government change. So when we say about business environment, we refers to the different component as an aggregate and in totality. We do not refers to each unit or each component separately. We refers, when we say business environment, it is totality of all the component with which the business plays, interact, and which affect the working of business. Secondly, business environment can be specific and it can be general. What I mean, the factors that are included in business environment, they may directly affect the business. Take an example. A producer of a chocolate would affect his policy and strategy, and his goods would affect the policy, strategy and product or demand of another chocolate producer in the market, but they would not affect the producer of a flour or of oils. There is no interrelation between them. So therefore, this force, the competition may be, or this environment may be general, it may be specific. Whereas general force, like change in government policies, for example, we have encountered very recently, few years back, demonetization. Now the effect of demonetization has been faced not only by one business. Demonetization specifically in terms of the 500 and 1000 rupees notes, it has been an attempt by the government to put a ban so that illegal activities or money laundering can be prohibited. Now they have affected all the business, irrespective of the place, irrespective of the nature of their activities. Similarly, when the government has introduced GST, it has affected all the business, irrespective of whether it is a producing industries or it is a service industries. GST, goods and service tax, it has brought into its regime all type of industries. So that has been the industries effect, or the effect of the policies has been general in nature. Whereas when we talk of competition, it is specific in nature. So business environment can be of specific forces and it can be of general forces. Third one is that the business environment tends to be uncertain. Uncertain means we cannot predict precisely the effect of change in the business environment. Uncertainty here, it means that the effect of change in business environment cannot be predicted precisely. Business changes occurs very frequently. It is not constant. It keeps on changing. So what we may therefore not be in a position to predict. It is uncertain. What may take place, or the changes that take place in a particular period may not be repeated in the next period, or similar changes may not occur, or the business may not face a similar changes. Therefore, we conclude that the environment of the business is uncertain. What changes it affect into the business or to the business, it is very difficult for a business to change the effect to predict the change that takes place. Nowadays, take it as an example, especially in the apparel industries, what we find, lot of changes are taking place. For example, the old Patiala suit is being replaced by plazos. What I find, there are many more examples, but how long will it continue, or whether it shall be permanent, we cannot predict it. People may prefer some another style, another design of apparel, and this may not continue for long. Hence, we conclude that it is very difficult to predict the effect of change in business environment. The fourth one is this business environment, the component of business environment, they are interrelated. It means change in one factor leads to change in another factors. How? Change in one factors leads to change in another factors. For example, now there is a growing consciousness among the Indian consumers for health related products, or rather what we call about Ayurvedic products. So what we find, the demand for Ayurvedic products has increased. Now if you are buying a paste, we look for, give me a Ayurvedic paste, or we are looking for an oil that ensure that this is a completely good product, or rather this is a hygienic product. So now there is a growing consciousness that has grown, but how long will it continue? It is uncertain. So this interrelated means the change in one aspect, the consciousness, the movement about keeping fit has resulted in change in the demand of the product. So therefore what we find, that change in one aspect or one component in a business environment leads to change in another. So therefore they are interrelated. And fifth one is dynamic. we have read management. It is dynamic. It means it has to keep changing according to the time, according to the need, according to the requirement of the business. Now similarly, in context of a business environment of a business keeps on changing, or rather it is not constant. A change cannot be constant. It goes on, it keeps on changing. For example, nowadays in the information technology we are using 4G mobile. Now the rate of electronics or change in technology is so fast that before we could assimilate it completely, the next changes arrives. What I mean is that the entire country or the service provider, they have not been able to convert themselves or to equip themselves with 4G technology. But very recently, hopefully, we would be moving on to the 5th generation, that is 5G technology. So what we find that this change, a business environment is continuously changing. It is dynamic. It keeps on changing. It never stops. It is not constant. So nowadays, we are facing 4G. We may come up with 5G. Take another example of television sets. Earlier we have CRT, that is cathode ray tube television, where it was very bulky. It had a picture tube. Now, the technology that we are having, LED television, OLED, Super LED or 4K UHD, Ultra HD televisions. So there has been change, there has been it is consistent, it is not constant. So what we predict is that environment keeps on changing, it is dynamic. And we need to move, we need to equip ourselves also, our strategy also has to be very dynamic. Now finally, 6th point is complexity. What we find is that when a business environment change, or the component, the forces which result in change or which changes, the changes in one factor is of diverse nature. The characteristics is diverse and the change is not uniform. It is not always the same. So what we find, the business environment tends to be complex. It is very difficult to predict the changes. It is non-uniform, means the business, the changes that is taking place, sometimes it is too fast, sometimes it is too slow. Some business may be able to assimilate with it, some may not. So therefore, what I mean is that this change is non-uniform and the change is of diverse characteristics. This is the factors, and I would like to give you an example over here. What happens? The government has come up with Ujjwala Yojana of giving free LPG cylinders or at a subsidized rate to the households. Now, or the subsidies that is provided by the government to the LPG users, any change in that, in the subsidy and the time when it takes place, it is very difficult to predict. Because if the government has reduced the subsidy, then what would be the next time when they would be reducing? It is very difficult to predict. So the change is non-uniform. And then, therefore, it becomes very complex. The business environment tends to get very complex. It is very difficult to predict the nature of the changes. So we conclude over here. Happy learning. Keep these notes. and see you next.